on this show. And I just
delusional
I
doesn't
don't
need
like
to delusional doesn't need to be an insult. If tomorrow I wake up and I hear like the Mehdi or Allah or Jesus talking to me, my first conclusion would be like, okay, I am being delusional. That's
Yeah, so recently I came across this audio clip from a show called the Atheist Experience. It's a podcast where they discuss various topics, but mostly surrounding faith, religion, and beliefs in general. So let's just listen in, and I'll make my comments as we go.
I think we've gotten through all of them. That's what we have for now. But let's go. Let's go take another call. Let me see here. I'm going to take a call from Xavier, not Javier. Xavier. Xavier is a guy coming out of Florida who's asking, "Who are you to deny Muhammad and Paul's experience, but accept transgender experiences and identities?" Oh boy. Happy Pride Month, folks. Who am I? Well, I've covered this. There's even a clip of me ranting about it. But Xavier, how you doing? Happy Pride Month. How you doing?
Hello, happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month. Who am I to deny it? Well, I don't deny any of that stuff, but I don't believe that what Muhammad and Paul experienced was supernatural. First of all, I'm not entirely sure that Muhammad really existed. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure that Paul existed, but assuming that they were, I believe that if they existed and they were the people who are responsible for the writings that are ascribed to them, and it's honest.
So even before we go far, you can, because I know that this podcast is usually biased because it leans upon atheist ideology, but you can already see he has some objections right away, even without touching on the question. He says he's not sure if Paul or Muhammad ever existed. He doesn't believe them, so you can see where he's coming from. I just wanted to put that forward so that you can understand the rest of it as we go on.
A lot of assumptions here that they perceived something. They had let me take it back. Perceived. They had a phenomenon. They had a mental moment where they experienced something, right? And they said that was supernatural, had a supernatural origin, and that therefore the supernatural exists, and it exists in a certain way. Okay, that's that. They're making a claim about the outside universe, okay, about the nature of metaphysics and physics and reality and all that stuff, making an affirmative claim. A transgender person is not claiming to have a certain sex reality. They're claiming to have a certain internal gender reality, okay? They're not saying that they were born with certain gametes coming out of them, that they have certain chromosomes coming out of them. They are saying that this is their identity, that gender, the construct of gender.
Saying that you have this, for example, I say if I say I'm a man, doesn't that affect reality? Because he says these are internal things. Because for me that would be external. If I were to go in a ladies' changing room, dressing room, and I said, oh, I'm a man, so I'm not, I just noticed maybe I'm in the wrong section. So I'm making something that is affecting reality, because the person or the store assistant who is there will actually affirm, yeah, you say you are a man, I believe you. That is the men's section. So I think there's nothing that has to do with internal, because the internal, everyone has their own personalities, but I don't think that gender identity is something to do with only internal. It also affects the external, because what you claim you are in the inside is what you expect people to take on the outside. So it's also based on, it also affects the facts.
Gals have long hair, and guys have short hair, and gals are feminine, protecting type of people, or whatever the gender roles might be, whatever it is. And it's not for me to say, but whatever those roles are, whatever those categories of qualities that belong to the category of masculine and those that belong to feminine, these folks it doesn't resonate with them. It seems unnatural. It's a reporting of an internal state, okay? And just like Katie Montgomery has said, it's like left-handedness, right? When someone says that they are transgender or that they're left-handed or that coffee cake tastes good to them, better yet, coffee. I hate coffee. Prove that I hate coffee. Prove that I can't.
No. I don't think those analogies fit because, for example, being right-handed, that is something you have to do. That is something you have to use your hand to write. If you are given a computer and the mouse is on the right and you say, actually, I'm left-handed. So we'll have to change the configuration so that you can use your left hand. So it's not something that you can just say and it goes. Something, as I said, it also affects the reality. And you say it's not like he also talked about the preference of coffee. The preference of coffee is it's not. It doesn't fit that analogy because from what I understand, what trans people say is like, for example, if you are born a man and later on you identify as a woman, you expect that people will treat you as a woman, just like any other person who was born that way. So and you talk about coffee preference, it's like saying I don't like coffee with sugar. It's not good for me. I don't like it. Not even good for me. You just say I don't like it. So you expect that everyone will accept that coffee without sugar is not good, which doesn't fit. I hope you are following my example.
Can't stand the taste of coffee. Why the hell do you think I drink this stuff? Because I don't like coffee and I got to wake up. Okay. So when a person reports to you that they have a certain internal state, right? Not making a claim about the source of the internal state or whatever it might be, but it's authentic. And so we just believe them. Long answer, Xavier. What are thy responses to that?
I had some points too, but
I would say, does Armani want to talk?
Uh-oh.
no,
And again, as I said, you'll notice the show is very biased because already you can see the dog whistles. You can already hear the guys objecting. Even the other person has not even responded. Just they want to interrupt him as much as possible so that they can get away with very not good arguments. So okay, let's just listen.
Can I just quickly just mention something? If Muhammad and Paul, I met them and they said that, and a trans person, they all say that this is their experience. It's easy for me to believe all three of them that they had that experience. Okay, if Muhammad said I had this met Muhammad and he told me that I had this experience that God talked to me, it's easy for me to believe that he had that experience. The difficult part is whether that experience reflects, an Allah that really exists. People experience revelations all the time. That is not the extraordinary claim that, so the existence of those experiences, I'm fully willing to admit that, or if I met Paul and he said, look, I actually saw Jesus, it's easy for me to accept that he had that experience. He saw something, he felt something. Where what he saw reflects an objective reality outside of his mind, that is the hard part that I need more evidence than his claim.
So finally, I think right there, this guy, Aman, I believe his name is Aman. So he has finally admitted that there is some level of evidence needed for a certain claim. For example, as I said, if you claim God has spoken to you, yes, we can take, you believe that God has spoken to you, but we don't believe you. We don't believe you. That is, I think that is what he said, if I'm not misinterpreting what he said. But at the same time, you can see the double standards as the caller was talking about. When someone says, for example, if I say I'm a woman and I go in the ladies' room and maybe someone questions me, okay, I believe what you're saying, that is your experience, but I don't believe this is aligning with the reality. So I think that was the whole basis of this call.
to believe it.
Yeah,
Does
and
that-
Xavier, sorry for suggesting that you were complaining. I'm just so used to it with some of our callers. You're a better caller. Xavier, Armin makes a good point. What about you? What's your responses to those things? I want to hear from you.
Yeah, it seems like I don't want to invalidate any transgender's experience. I'm not like that at all. I just want to
Cool.
say that up front. And I'm glad for Pride Month and them being valued as people and all of that. So,
Yeah.
but my point is that
Yeah.
you're asking for evidence from religious people, but you don't ask for evidence of transgender people. So I think it's a double standard against religious people. And so I just
Well,
want
no,
to offer
I
the
no.
same-
I don't ask for
same,
evidence. Again, I don't ask for evidence for the experience.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, if a religious person says that I heard God talk to me, I believe them. I don't ask for the experience. I don't ask for evidence for that experience. The evidence part comes from whether what they heard is actually from a God. Because people have those experiences. We know people. We have actual evidence for people having those experiences. We have evidence for people hearing things. We have evidence for people have religious, spiritual experiences. So we know actually, not only don't we deny them, we actually have evidence that people have those experiences. So
If I may-
we
yeah.
validate. Yeah.
If I may
go
put a fine point on this, okay, and I think what Armin is saying, and just to back up, because I think what you said, maybe I didn't understand. We agree. We don't deny that religious people, like you said, had experienced something. But you said, what you said, Armin, the reason why I interrupted is like that they heard from God, or they had a message from God. We would contest that. We wouldn't contest that they had an experience of receiving a message from God.
So this is what I'm not getting, and this is a case of where we say the difference is the same, because they are talking about this experience, and I don't know why they are using that word as if it's some miracle word to cover something else, because what I get they're saying is they believe the statement, or they believe what you are claiming, or they believe you can claim. That is what I think they are saying. If I say I can fly, that I understand that they believe that I'm making that claim, but they don't believe it's true. They don't believe I can fly at all. So that is why I'm saying the difference is the same. So if I say I can fly, then what's the problem with you saying I don't think so? Just not even requiring evidence, but just saying I don't think so, or I don't understand what you are trying to say, because just not even being against, but not believing what you're saying. Because on the contrary, that's why the caller is saying they're having double standards. If someone says they believe in God, they are just saying they'll accept that statement, whatever you're saying, but they don't believe you, and they don't believe there's a God. So what is the let's take it to let's take that analogy to a transgender person. When someone says, for example, let me take myself. If I say I'm a woman, I don't see any problem with someone saying, I don't think so, or I don't believe you. Just as I said, if I go into the ladies' room and someone stops me, I don't believe you're a woman. I don't see any. I wouldn't even expect someone to be angry about that, because just saying I don't think so, or I don't believe you, it should go both ways, on both camps of the conversation.
But we don't believe that it was a message. And we don't believe that it was a God. We believe that they had the experience of a message from God, or whatever it might be. So that's the difference. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to speak for you, Armin. Please, sorry.
No. That's, you said it better than I said. So we don't invalidate the experiences. We just don't believe what those experiences represent.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me take those words. You don't believe what those experiences represent. But when religious people do that with someone claiming that they don't have any gender, you call them transphobes. So what makes atheists? So aren't atheists bigots when they do the same thing to religious people? I don't want bigotry.
No, because gender is an experience, right? So, for example, if somebody says, "I am somebody who experienced God talking to me," we will like, okay, but I don't know if it's actually God. We will completely accept it, So, but when it comes to identity, so gender, unlike sex, is an identity, and identities are nothing but experiences. So they're not, when they say my gender is like man or woman, they're referring to their experiences. So they're not making any claims beyond what they're experiencing, because that's what our identities are.
Yeah.
If my identity as like Armin or a man or a brother or a husband, these are just my feelings, my experiences. So given that it's nothing but experiences, it's not, we don't need anything beyond their experiences to believe them.
Xavier, can we take something that's less politically charged and maybe explore that? Because I think it's related. And I mentioned it before. I don't like coffee. You're taking my word that I don't like coffee, right? Do you believe me when I say that coffee tastes disgusting to me?
I believe you.
All right, cool. What evidence am I presenting to you that I believe coffee is disgusting to me?
There's no evidence.
There's no evidence. Well, there's my testimony, right? That I believe that coffee is disgusting to me.
Yeah. And that's what I was talking about. If someone says an angel has spoken to them, they are not also providing evidence. So we are equal. So the discussion up to there is equal. But let's continue.
Solely upon my testimony, right?
Yeah, but I'm not calling you delusional. Religious people get called delusional for believing, for putting words and symbols to their experiences through religion. They get called delusional. They get called all sorts of things by atheists on this show. And I just
delusional doesn't need to be an insult. If tomorrow I wake up and I hear like the Mehdi or Allah or Jesus talking to me, my first conclusion would be like, okay, I am being delusional. That's not an insult. That would be the most, people sometimes have delusions.
Yeah, we know that people have hallucinations, but I think a lot of people, and I can only speak from my experience, that a lot of people who are religious grew up religiously and were told certain facts about the universe, that God exists, that God will judge you, that these are the rules you have to follow. They go to church regularly or temple or mosque or whatever regularly. It's a part of their life, and they kind of just are on autopilot. A lot of people are on autopilot and they don't question it. I don't think that those people are delusional.
You can see he's making the assumption is so one-sided. For him, he's allowing himself to make so many assumptions. Oh, these people are on autopilot. They have not questioned what they actually believe in. For him, he's giving himself that priority, to ask these questions. But on the other side, he doesn't entertain anyone questioning that. Yeah? If just take those autopilot, not questioning, just would he allow for a person to ask that about gender identity? Just putting it out there.
Reality around them. Now, I could be wrong. That's just a hunch. But to the extent that there are atheists on this show and in the world and in the chat, in the comments, who would say that theism is a mental illness, I would say shut the hell up, because it's not. I think you're satisfied for insufficient reasons that a supernatural realm exists. That's as far as I would go, because I see the same evidence and I'm not convinced. That's it.
Yeah, Johnny, to be clear, I'm not talking about general religious people. I'm speaking about specifically people who are hearing voices. Okay. And not most religious people are not hearing voices, but because our caller is specifically referring to people who had that experience, and they're telling us they had that experience, we don't say all religious people are delusional, but those people might be having delusions, okay? Yeah. And that's okay. That's not like having delusions. We don't want to demonize people who are having mental issues. It's not an insult. It might just be something that is happening. They might be hearing voices, which is fine. Yeah. And it's also better if they recognize it. I admire somebody who's having delusions and is recognizing that these are delusions because there's no evidence for what they're hearing. So that's actually a source of admiration for somebody if they recognize that it's not an insult. A delusional should not be used as an insult, because mental health should not be used as an insult.
Yeah. And to your point, Xavier, I appreciate that you are are not one of these haters that are out.
I didn't want to keep stopping the conversation so much, but there's so much going on that someone needs to speak out. Because again, you'll notice the kind of language they are using, and this you will find it a lot in in cults, in in dictatorships. This kind of like showing you that it's better if you are on their side, and actually, if you are not even on their side, they are not angry about you. They want as he's saying. That I hope you are not one of those people who are bigots, using that kind of language. And the other guy, Armani, you can notice he's also saying, people with hearing voices, actually it's not very bad to call them delusional. So you can see this kind of grooming language. That, as I said, you can find it in dictatorships, in people of, those people with a lot of ego, those people like even like child molesters, you'll find them with this kind of language, because it will tend to like if I don't know how I may put it, like to soften, to show you that they are softening their stance on your approach, but actually what they are trying to do is to pull you into their ideology. But let's continue.
There, even amongst the atheists, there's plenty of haters, and I know because I read the comments, and I'm saddened by what I see. But do you see how there's a difference? Do you see how we're making a distinction between a person's internal state that only they can report, at least at this point in science, right? We can't tap into the brain and see things. I guess we can look at hormone levels or whatever. I don't know. But there's a difference between the internal state of a person's experience, the cause of that experience, and then a statement about external reality outside of them. That's where we're drawing that line. Because I guess you could always say that transgender people are just lying to us, that they know that they're not really transgender. But then you're starting to get into some problems, I think.
No, but I don't think that is the people who are not pro transgenderism or something. I don't think they are saying that you are lying. Just as he said, I think what they are saying is that I don't believe what you are claiming to be is what you are, or that is. I think that is the claim, which is the same as the atheists say. If you claim that God exists, they say, no, we don't believe that he exists. So it's the same claim. So I don't know why they are being so...
Right. I'm trying to see the distinction. And with those three little criteria, that clarifies a lot. I would just say that religion is part of people's identity. And you say, and so many skeptics demand evidence, or else they assume that there's no evidence, so there's no reason I should believe you unless there's evidence. But religion is part of their identity.
We will accept their identity.
Part of who they are.
We will believe their identity. We will also believe their identity, right? So if somebody says, these are my beliefs and I'm a Muslim and that's my identity, I'm not going to invalidate that. I'm going to be like, yeah.
No, those are not the same. Those are two different things. That is a faith system or a belief system. And this now is something else based on... religion is based on faith and belief. But gender ideologies, I don't think it's something that is based on faith and belief. It's something that actually you have to, as I said, you have to present yourself that way. If you claim that you are Muslim, you don't have to do anything Islamic to show that you are Muslim. People can just take it that way. But if you say I'm a woman and you're presenting as a man, someone might be... you'll have to be skeptical. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just if I said, just because we are talking about identity, like for example, I'm African. If I said I'm Asian, I don't. If someone just accepted just my statement when I say that, I would think there's something wrong with them, or they are not very, they don't like to analyze things, because I would expect someone would ask me follow-up questions. which are the ones that lead to all this debate. When someone claims something, the follow-up questions are the ones that heat up the conversation.
I believe you. You are a Muslim. I will call you a Muslim if you want me to.
Yeah, but we
would not
just don't
say-
believe.
I would not-
Yeah, we just don't believe that it's true. That the claims of that religion is true. That's all.
So to your
If you
point,
don't
if
believe
we
that-
wanted to be like if we wanted to be like transphobic people, right? If somebody says I'm a man and we're like, no, you're not, you're a woman.
No. He's not getting the point. If you say you're a man and someone says, I don't believe you, it's the same claim as an atheist saying, as you telling an atheist, I believe in God, and they say, I don't believe God exists. So it's the same when you say I'm a man and someone says, no, I don't believe that is the case. So it's the same.
So the equivalent to that would be somebody coming to me as an atheist and say, I'm a Muslim, okay? And I say, no, you're not. You're not a Muslim.
Yeah.
That would be the equivalent. That would be the comparison.
Yeah, you don't hold a belief in the reality of Allah. No.
As I'm saying, it's the same when you say I'm a man and someone says, actually, I don't believe in a reality that you're male. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just, as I said, as they are talking about reality, something that you see, if someone presents you a rock and they told you this is bread, and you told them, no, I don't think so. That is what the people who object to transgenderism, I think that is what they are always talking about.
And we're like, you're
Yeah,
Muslim.
but
Yeah.
Okay. People say, "Oh, your beliefs are false. There's no evidence." But if we said that about transgender people, we will be considered transphobic because we're not believing them without evidence.
We also
Okay, here's the
be
thing.
wrong.
Yeah, no, here's the thing, because do you understand what gender means? Okay, gender is about your experiences, right?
Gender
So
is
would you believe?
right.
Okay, so okay, so if somebody told you that I feel as if I'm a man, okay, you don't require evidence for that because they're talking about their feelings, they're talking about their experience, okay?
Yeah.
So
I
okay,
understand,
so okay.
Oh,
Okay, good.
real quick. I'm going to interject. Javier, you're a man, right?
Xavier.
I'm a man too.
Yes.
All right.
And right there, very quick, you can notice even the interjection. It's very condescending and very rude. And even the guy corrected him. He told him it's Xavier, not Javier. But the guy just keeps ranting on. So it means he has already made up his mind. And also, as you'll notice previously, they are guiding this guy. They are trying for him not to be too radical on that side. So they are trying to push him. And as he has started softening, that's why they are interjecting so much. And you'll notice the time that he's given. He's just speaking for 20 seconds, and then they rant on for 5 minutes. Two people against one person. One person speaks for 20 seconds, the two people speak for 5 minutes. So it's not a fair discourse.
What it's worth. Okay. What is maleness besides the physiological and the anatomical aspects of maleness that you possess? Culturally speaking, okay? Culturally speaking, what does it mean to you?
To me personally is to play a certain role in the family, a certain role in society as a provider, as a protector, more testosterone, just a certain type of way, a certain way of being and doing life as compared to the other half of the population. So that's what it means to me.
Okay, that's what it means to you. Now, ignoring the testosterone comment.
No. Ignoring the testosterone, I thought if you transition from being a man to a woman, the hormone levels actually matter if you try to go in certain sports. So as you see, there are some very hard facts are ignored, that is just pushed away. And as I was saying, this podcast is biased and they don't have a fair discourse because such an important point, because that, I think, even for transgender people, that is a key point, the hormone levels. And okay, let's continue.
We're exactly the same. You had a penis, okay, and testes and all that jazz, vas deferens and all that stuff. And I'm just taking your definition of maleness, okay? Your definition. What if you were born as you were, but those qualities about the relationship and the family, the other side, what if that seemed like it didn't apply to you, like it did not you weren't in harmony with that. You felt other than that. And it might be hard for you to envision that, because it's actually hard for me to envision what it'd be like to be different from me. But I know that people are, so I just kind of accept it. But what if you were different? What would you call yourself?
I would have to use a different gender.
Yeah.
If I felt different than that typical role. And I think religious people also kind of feel that way. They don't belong to this world. They feel like there's something other.
Okay. I think the difference...
We don't invalidate that.
Yeah. We don't invalidate the feeling. We just invalidate the dare I go down the J-Mike route, the ontological reality. We do not accept the ontological reality that they...
He just beat himself with his own point, because that is the same thing that the caller is talking about when people demand, something extra about transgender people. It's not about disbelieving what they are saying. It's not believing that it is going with the reality, just as I said. If I try to go to the ladies' room, I would expect to be stopped, because not many people would believe that I'm actually a woman. And I don't think that has any, it should not be criminalized or frowned upon, because that is what happens every day. If I go to a preschool and claim that I'm 5 years old, and that is my experience inside, I feel as if I'm 5 years old. It would be, I expect some people to ask very serious questions.
Actually do belong to that other non-physical existence. We aren't convinced that it exists, but I have religious friends, and I could never tell them they don't believe something. Of course they believe it. Of course they identify themselves with that, right? We just aren't convinced that exists. So we believe that they are mistaken about that. Or
yeah, the same way I talked about going to a preschool and saying my experience is 5 years old. The teachers there and the principal there would have to say, I don't actually believe that. I believe you're mistaken. So you can see the double standard of this argument.
That there's insufficient reasons to believe that exists, or in some cases that some of the hosts would say, well, you're just wrong, right? But I'm not one of those people, because I don't know.
For another example would be like, imagine if somebody says that I identify as a woman because I feel like a woman. You're like, cool, you are a woman, we will address you like a woman. But if they say, like, let's say they were born with XY chromosome, and they said that because I identify as a woman, I'm going to claim that I was born with XX chromosome and my chromosomes are XX. We were like, okay, no, because now you're making a claim about objective reality, which your claim does not match. Okay. First, you were talking about your feelings and the way you identify. And that is completely, we don't ask for evidence, because we just have to accept, we understand people's feeling based on what they're telling us. That's all we need. But now if you take that and make a claim about reality that doesn't match objective reality, then we will like, okay, we need evidence.
Yeah. All right. Xavier, I'm going to give you a last bit. Say your piece, but we've got to move on. I think we've gone around in a circle on this one. I want you to think about what we've said, and then maybe do some more thinking about it, and then call back.
Again, you'll see the guiding, the dog whistles in the conversation, the guiding of the conversation. Think about it, call back, let us know what you think, the grooming.
So last thoughts on you, Xavier, because I trust you.
No, thanks for the clarification. Happy Pride Month to all of you. I just want to say, I hope if there was a religious month, that we would be just as tolerant as that as well. So on both sides. So blessings to you guys.
An interesting idea. Take care, Xavier. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Armin.
I do want to say that, no, I agree with that. One thing that we do is an Atheist Republic is that we support Muslim rights, Christian rights, Hindu rights, because as much as we are in disagreement with them about their belief, we also don't like them being mistreated. So part of our activism as atheist activists is to speak out when Muslims, for example, as much as we are anti-Islam, we're also pro-Muslim.
Hold on. Can those two things go together? You are anti-Islam and you're also pro-Muslim. What is that? It's like saying, yeah, I'm a vegan, but I'm pro eating meat. I don't think you'd be honest when you're saying that. That is not having an honest. Okay, let's hear the ending.
So, for example, in China, when the government is oppressing Muslims, we speak out against that. In India, when Muslims are being oppressed, we speak out against that. In Bangladesh, when Hindus are being oppressed, we speak out against that. In Egypt, when Christians are being oppressed, we speak out against that. So, yeah, we are completely in agreement in the fact that we as atheist activists are also in support of the rights and support religious people and their rights and their freedoms.
That's the humanist bent.
Okay. Because these kind of conversations, they tend to go on and on and on. Because after I listened to the whole thing, and the guy goes on to talk about how, like, Iran, it's not actually a Muslim country. It's actually an atheist country. As I said, they pull out all these things to support their argument, which are some of them are actually outrageous, like saying Iran is not actually is a majority atheist country. Anyway, but my closing remarks on this. On what they were talking about here, for example, the way they were talking about having objective reality, and this is why we see, like, transgender people. Say, for example, I start transitioning to a female gender identity. That's why you see people who do that. They have surgeries. They change their, so that it can at least try to fit the stereotype, not the stereotype, but what people expect of that claim. That is what I have never seen anyone who is just like me with the beards and nothing changing and coming out and saying I'm a woman and you must support this, and if you don't support this, you're transphobic. They try to do something about it so that it can fit. That's why I say it's not only about the experience. It also depends on other things, as I was talking about reality, about evidence, about about the society from which you come from, because that is also very important. Because as you'll see, this movement, it's very linked on one side of the world. It's not happening everywhere else, and that is why, as I talked, you can see in my videos, I've talked about this topic severally, and this is one of the important things. To learn about things and to get knowledge about some things. That's why even such a biased podcast, I have to listen to it. But I have to say, it's anyway, everyone have their right to raise their opinion. So leave your comments. Let me know what you think about this, and you can also give me suggestions. For me, I don't cut off people. I accept all the arguments that you might put. It's good, to help each other learn. So till next time, stay safe. Thank you.
Please smash the like button and don't forget to subscribe for more fun videos.